Hi, good afternoon. This is Daniel Zajac, and I'm here today to talk about pre-retirement planning and the 10 steps you can take to get yourself in order for your retirement. Today we'll talk about the action points you need to take in retirement. You don't want to be surprised at retirement. You need to plan for this transition. Whether it's 1 to 2 years away, 5 to 10, or you want to make sure you're sailing in the right direction, it's never a bad time to look at your retirement plan. So step one, invest now. If you're not taking advantage of your 401k or 403b or employer-sponsored plan, you absolutely should be. Take advantage of the current tax laws that allow you to defer money pre-tax into a retirement plan and allow that money to grow tax deferred. For example, if you put in $100, it may only cost you $75 per paycheck to get money into the plan. In addition, you're going to gain valuable investment experience. If you aren't sure you have the money, here's a couple ways you could find money to invest in retirement. One, restructuring debt. With interest rates being at historical lows, refinancing your mortgage is a great way to free up some additional cash flow. Option two, did you get a refund last year from your tax return? If so, it may be a great time to change your deductions. By changing your deductions, you'll get a couple bucks more each month in your retirement plan or in your paycheck. The best option is then to take that money and defer it directly into your retirement plan. Option three, create a budget. Sit down, write down your fixed expenses, your variable expenses, and see if you can take away some overlap or trim an expense here or there. And finally, you want to take advantage of the benefits of compound interest. Let's take a look at compound interest and the time value of money. Basically, the longer you invest your money, the bigger it's going to get. For example, if you contribute $600 a month into a retirement plan or investment plan for 20 years and that money grows at 6%, the future value of that money is $277,000. We take a look at the benefit of a larger investment. Instead of investing $600, you invest $1,200 for 20 years at 6%. The future value is $554,000. Now, what if we were to invest that money for 30 years instead of 20 years? Comparing example one, the $600 for 20 years, to the bottom, $600 for 30 years, at the same 6% interest, you can see the future value is $602,000, nearly twice as much as option one. When I speak with people who are about to retire and who have accumulated a large nest egg, they often ask the question, shouldn't all of my money be invested safe as I'm going into retirement? And my answer is this. Certainly the money you're going to need in the short term should be invested safe. But are you going to need all that money in the short term? The answer is probably not. Consider pooling your assets, creating different buckets for different needs. For example, the current income emergency pool, money you need in the next 6 months to 2 years, you might want to keep that safe. Money that you need in 2 years to 4 years or 4 years to 8 years, maybe that's money that's a little bit more invested but not as safe as the emergency fund bucket. And then money that you don't need for the long term, say 8 years or more, maybe that should be invested somewhere else in the market. As buckets 1 and 2 run out, you fill them with overflow from buckets 3 and 4. Step 3, just determine your risk tolerance. I often hear people talk about, my money's diversified because I put it into different buckets. But in reality, all their buckets are the same. For example, what if you had 5 different CDs at 5 different banks? Does that mean you're invested? Does that mean you're diversified? The answer is probably not. You have the same investment everywhere. Asset allocation is a scientific, disciplined strategy for diversifying your assets. Let's take a look at how different asset classes have performed over the past 30 years. From 1970 to January 2011, we could see that U.S. small cap stocks earned 12.55%. International stocks earned 10.13%. The S&P 500 earned 9.99%. Government bonds earned 8.02%. Money markets earned 5.56%. And during this time frame, inflation was 4.39%. If we take this chart and look at it another way, we could see those same average rates of return in the blue bars in the middle of the chart. You'll see U.S. small caps again earned 12.55%. over the last 30 years, or from that time frame, 1970 to 2011. What you also see in this chart is the range of returns. To get that 12.55% rate of return, that same investor needed to stomach a 38% loss in a given year. You also see from this chart what we call the risk-return trade-off. As the average rates of return go down, the volatility goes down as well. For someone who was invested in a money market, their average loss or their smallest rate of return was 3.72%. What this chart shows us is the difference between what I call investor return and investment return. The 20-year annualized return by asset class from 1993 to 2012 shows us that the S&P 500, as measured from 1993 to 2012, earned 8.2%. The average investor during the same time frame earned 2.3%. So what makes up the difference? Why did the S&P do 8.2% and the average investor did 2.3%? Well, certainly this has to be more than fees. Things like not being patient enough, trying to time the market, chasing last year's returns, or any number of reasons illustrate why investing long-term, buy and hold over the course of time does better than trying to get in and out of the market. Step 4, perform a cash flow analysis. Determine your current needs, allow for cash flow changes. What's long-term care? How's that going to impact your retirement? How's healthcare going to impact your retirement? And finally, inflation. This chart shows us that assuming inflation at 4%, your money is going to need to double every 20 years just to keep up with inflation. Compare your take-home pay. Let's take a look at an example of someone who earned $50,000 a year. If you earn $50,000 a year, you might pay $3,784 in federal tax. You're going to pay a Pennsylvania state tax of $1,535, a local tax of $1,750, Social Security tax, plus if you contribute to your 401k. Before you see any money, you'll learn that nearly $16,000 deductions are coming out. So your $50,000 of salary is actually a net income of $34,000. If we compare this to someone who's retired, let's assume that retiree now has $10,000 of a pension and they're collecting $25,000 of Social Security. If we plug this into a federal income return, a federal tax return, we'll see that no tax needs to be paid. In this scenario, $50,000 of pre-work employment, of pre-work income or working income actually equals $35,000 in retirement. 5, know your healthcare coverage. What does the employer provide for you and your spouse post-retirement, if anything? When does that contract or plan expire, if it does? And what are your Medicare options? Step 6, consider the needs of long-term care. By 2020, about 12 million Americans over the age of 65 will need long-term care services. What are my risks? Generally, your risks increase as you get older. 2, your marital status. Single people are more likely to need care from a paid provider. The key word there is paid provider. And gender. Women are at higher risk than men, primarily because they tend to live longer. So it's good news and bad news. Women tend to live longer, which is good news, but it also means they're likely in need of more care. Step 7, evaluate your Social Security benefits. For most Americans, Social Security is a significant retirement asset. Making the best possible selection related to your Social Security options can mean a material difference in the income it provides. When you begin to receive Social Security payments is important. You may retire and start as early as 62, but beginning at age 62 may not be your best choice. The age at which you begin will impact the payments for the rest of your life. There are several factors that you should consider prior to selecting Social Security: your health status, your life expectancy, your need for income, whether or not you plan to continue working, and how concerned you are about running out of money in your lifetime. In addition, if you're married, other factors that may influence your decision are your spouse's life expectancy, which of you is the higher wage earner, and how concerned you are about the risk of running out of money during your joint lifetimes. Your benefit that you've accrued will depend on the following: how much you earned over your working career, the age at which you apply for your benefit, spousal benefits, extra money is allocated to married couples, and survivor benefits, reassessment of benefits to a surviving spouse. The Social Security break-even point. What if you start at 62, 66, or 70? You can see the difference between starting at 62 and 66. The break-even point here, where you're better weighting, is age 75. Now comparing 62 to age 70, comes in at age 77, and between 66 and age 70 comes in at 79. So for the most part, if you're going to live past your late 70s, early 80s, it might make sense to wait. Let's take a look at a sample strategy. We'll assume John and Mary Smith. John and Mary Smith had a full retirement age benefit known as a primary insurance amount. John's was $2,413 and Mary's was $985. And they have a life expectancy of 75 and 89. If they both elect to take early, John at 75 and Mary at 62 and 9 months, this is we'll assume this is June of 2015, and then Mary takes a survivor benefit in 2023. The total benefit they're going to receive over their lifetime on inflation adjusted is $822,079. Let's take a look at an option that John and Mary have. I'm going to call this the optimized strategy. Instead of collecting at age 60, instead of collecting right away at their current age, we're going to take advantage of the system. Mary begins benefits based on her earnings record in June 2013 at the age of 62 and 9 months. John files what's known as a restricted application for spousal benefits only in June 2014 at age 66. John switches to benefits based on his own earning records in June 2018 at age 70. So from 66 to 70, John was actually collecting 1/2 of Mary's benefit. At age 70, when his benefit maxes out, he switches back to his own benefit. Mary then switches from her benefit to 1/2 of John's benefit because that is higher. John then dies, and in June 2023, Mary begins survivor benefits. Based on this optimized option, the total benefit is $942,000, or an increase for John and Mary of $120,000. Step 8, create a tax plan. Understand your current working tax bracket. What are you paying in tax? What bracket are you in? Is there anything you could do to lower that tax bracket? Understand your retirement tax bracket. Often people get into a smaller or a lower tax bracket in retirement. Understand how that's going to affect your overall income. Understand your retirement income bubble. Generally, in the year people retire, they might creep up into a higher tax bracket, primarily because they receive retirement incentives, they receive sick-day compensation, or potentially they receive the payout of a severance. Other things to consider in retirement when it comes to tax planning is your Social Security. How much, if any, of your Social Security will be taxable and at what rate? The taxability of IRAs versus Roth IRAs, where should you pull money from? Dividend income versus interest income. Qualified dividends may be at a better rate than your interest income. Short-term versus long-term capital gains. Again, long-term capital gains rates may be more favorable than short-term capital gains rates. And then understand your pre- and post-retirement income tax planning. Step 9, review your estate planning now. Review your beneficiary designations. Beneficiaries are on anything such as a pension, an IRA, a 403B, a 401k, or any life insurance policies. If you haven't reviewed them in a while, it's a great time now to review your beneficiary designations. Often life changes, family changes, our needs change, and our beneficiaries need to be updated for all those reasons. Have an attorney update your will, your living trust, and a power of attorney. It's easy to get these things done online these days, but generally we recommend you work with an expert to make sure that your will's in order, that your living trust is updated, and that your powers of attorney are updated as well. Step 10, ask for objective help. Working with a financial professional who will help review your situation, pinpoint weaknesses, analyze your current asset allocation, develop an investment strategy, implement and monitor your plan, and monitor your progress. So just to review, step 1, invest now, get money working for you. Step 2, create a simple income plan in retirement. Step 3, determine your risk tolerance. Step 4, perform a cash flow analysis. 5, know your healthcare coverage. 6, consider long-term care and how that's going to affect your retirement. 7, examine your Social Security benefits. 8, create a tax plan. 9, get your estate planning documents updated. And 10, ask for objective help. Thanks for spending the time with me today. I hope you're able to get something from this. Again, I'm Daniel Zajac.